You know what, Sam?
What?
500 hockey isn't going to cut it.
No, it's not. I would argue that they're playing a little bit below 500, but I get what
You know what? Don't nitpick. If you start to nitpick my one-liners, this whole thing isn't going to work. I might as well resign because the best part about me is my one-liners. But if you start criticizing, then what good am I, Sam? I mean, still,
Good
I believe they should,
gosh.
but they should still just like cover you up and watch me.
Okay, no,
And that'll be the
no,
last time I say it. I promise. I promise.
Sam, if you're resigning, there's no one to cover up because they're already covering up me.
They can come watch me. Sam Driscoll
Okay, no,
hosts the Caniac Report Part 2.
Part 2?
Part 2. You're the original. I'm 2.0. Caniac Report 2.0. There we go.
Whatever. Okay. Well, you can think that. And one thing to let you guys know is that we are actually recording this mostly before the Columbus game. Once we recap the Columbus game, it'll be right after that, of course. But just kind of letting you guys know and trying to set the stage here on the timing of us recording this. So, Sam. Oh, actually, no, we're good. But we have a link for donations. And if you feel like you want to donate, there's a link to that in both our YouTube and our traditional podcast areas. And another thing, too, if you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to hit that like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell whenever an episode comes out. And if you're listening to us from like Apple or Spotify, please leave us a rating and a review. It really helps us out, doesn't it, Sam?
Yep. Please write any kind of review telling us how great I am because I need an ego boost.
What's with you? Are you sad because your friend's not going with you?
Oh no, I'm just being funny today.
Okay, whatever. Oh, and another thing too. I believe this is the no, this might not be the first time of you wearing your Brenda Moore jersey on the.
This is not the first time. This is the second time. But this
This is the
Columbus
second
game
time.
will be the first time I wear it. And I don't care if it loses. I am going to wear this jersey exclusively for a little while.
Yes, another perk if you're watching us on YouTube, you get to see Sam wearing, rocking the Rod Brindamore jersey.
Yeah, so we
That
got
he
the
has.
C, the 2006 Stanley Cup patch, and of course it's the let's see, 17. So obviously it's Rod. But yeah, it was a great deal I found on Fanatics. By the way, they don't pay us to say this, but they are the official jersey sponsor of the NHL. So you should go and check them out. They usually have really great deals. This is not a Fanatics brand jersey, by the way. It's just sold on Fanatics. So if you don't like the brand, you could still get this. I got it on sale. So
Nice. Good deal. Sam, let's get to some stuff around the league. First things first is that a trade happened this past weekend, and that involved Anaheim Ducks player Cam Fowler.
yes,
He gets traded, pulling up the full details here, to St. Louis.
I ain't
Along,
pronouncing that. I ain't pronouncing that guy's last name.
oh, I'm not either. Along with I believe a 2020, I believe it's a fourth round pick. I just can't remember the year. And then Anaheim gets a a prospect who's a defenseman. That's all I'm gonna say. A 2020 second round pick, and obviously Anaheim retained $2.5 million on that Cam Fowler contract. So, Sam, seems like Fowler going to St. Louis. I think he's going to help that blue line.
Yeah,
I think anything newsworthy with St. Louis's defenseman as of late. I know Torrey Krug is out,
yeah,
but I think that is a good addition for them. You have Justin Falk also back there, former Hurricane.
yeah.
You have Colton Parayko.
Yep.
So
I'm a
pretty
big
pretty
fan
good.
of. I'm a big fan of Cam Fowler. I've always really liked him. I've always thought he's a pretty solid defenseman. Um, I remember playing the old games, the old hockey games when I was younger, and uh, it was always fun because a friend of mine and I would play the game all the time, and then we would argue over who was going to get the trade for Cam Fowler because he was always like a really good overall when he was younger.
Yeah, he was projected to be a very good defenseman. I do think I think he's a top 4 defenseman. Do I say he's like a Hedman or a Darlene? No. But he's a good top 4 guy. I kind of think of him as like a Noah Hanifin type of defenseman. Another thing too, Sam, is that a trade freeze is going to be happening starting on December the 20th. And this is obvious is for like Christmas and all that type of stuff, which I think is good to have a trade freeze, especially around the holidays.
Yeah,
But Sam,
it's
if the
totally fair.
Hurricanes were to get something done before the year,
I'm going to actually find out when specifically the NHL trade freeze is, because that would be good to know. I'm going to
when
ask
it ends,
when it starts, because I don't know the specific day.
it's December 20th.
Is it December 20th?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
So at 11:59 p.m. through December 27th at 12:01 a.m. All right. Yeah. So that gives it. It's you don't want to be traded right before Christmas. So
Yeah, and I understand that.
So if the Hurricanes are to do anything, they have 5 days. To
Do
get.
I think they're going to do anything in 5 days? No.
Well, I don't know. From what I've been seeing, it
I
sounds
don't
like
know.
Carolina wants to make a deal for a goalie now, but they're not going to pay. They're not going to overpay for it either. And it sounds like as well, there's not many teams, because it was really Carolina and Colorado who were in the goalie market. Colorado's done their thing, so now the Carolina's the only other team in the market. So for them, it's like, we'll make a deal. What are you offering? Oh, that's ridiculous. Not going to do that. We'll just wait. So I think they're dealing a little bit more in a position of strength because the goalie market's not as bad, not as crazy as it was last year. I feel like last year the goalie market was pretty hefty and there were a lot of teams looking for goaltenders, and I don't feel it's that way now. So Carolina was in a position of weakness when you had Colorado because you were in a bidding war for these goalies, which is why San Jose got the great deal that they got, by the way. I felt like they got a really good deal for that, and why Carolina didn't make the deal. And I, to be honest, I wouldn't have made that deal either. I wouldn't have given up a top prospect to get Blackwood. He's a good goalie, but I think he's not worth the first round draft pick.
Yeah, I don't think he is either, but seems like Colorado's more desperate than we are.
Colorado's players are older as well.
They are.
So it's just one of those situations. I mean, the
only time's sticking more for them than us.
Yeah, but I mean, also, to be fair, as long as you have Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon, you're probably always going to be some kind of contender. Just like when we have, because right now Natchez is just as good as Nathan McKinnon is when it comes to putting up the points. So once we get Nikishin, if we have Nikishin and Natchez, we'll always be in that situation as well, as long as Natchez continues to do his point production. Granted, one player, as we're seeing now with the Hurricanes, does not make a winning team. As we saw with Edmonton in the beginning of last year, one player doesn't make a winning team. You have to play as a unit. And right now, as we'll talk about with this loss today, and we'll see what happens with the game in Columbus that we're going to go to, the team isn't playing well. You can have a player playing as good as they can and racking up points, but if you're not winning and you're not playing as a group, you cannot win a Stanley Cup with just one player. You need a whole group. You need parts to come together.
Exactly. I completely agree on that. And Sam, I mean, we're already talking about the Hurricanes, and one of the news, if I had like an Aho jersey, I'd wear it for this episode because and I'm sure you know the reason.
You don't have an
why.
Aho jersey?
No, I do not.
Wow. I thought you had an Aho jersey.
No, I do not. I thought you knew funny. This.
No, I guess I never noticed it. You usually wear your Natchez jersey a lot.
I wear my Natchez. It's Natchez and Slavin.
Yeah.
Usually I wear a lot.
Because I know you have more. and Tavo isn't here. I guess when I saw you had the Terravina jersey, I just assumed you have an Aho one. That's bizarre. Okay, that's funny. You don't have an
And
Aho
I'm wearing
jersey.
my newest jersey, Jarvis.
Okay. Okay. You know what?
So,
I never noticed. That's funny.
yep, never had an Aho jersey. But if I did, I would wear for this episode. And Sam, the reason why, first thing I kind of want to cover when it comes to hurricane stuff is the comment that Aho said after the Ottawa game. Now, we're going to recap the Ottawa game in the last half of this episode, but I really want to focus on this comment because I feel like this comment really kind of sums up just a little bit of, I think, part of why the Hurricanes are just trending in the wrong direction. And I think if there was like a freak out button on me, I'm kind of in the in between stage of not hitting it and hitting it because I don't want to freak out. If you look at the standings, I don't think you should. But again, I'm in that in between of not hitting it and wanting to hit it.
The benefit of where we are right now is New York struggling too, and
Yeah,
they're
they
the
lost
and
yesterday,
New
5-1
York
against LA.
and New York, Pittsburgh, and Philadelphia are the three teams that in the Metro that are behind us, and the two teams in the wild card spot are Atlantic Division teams. So New York is 6 or 7 points back of us, so we still have a cushion there. So as long as they're playing bad, we have some leeway to figure it out too. Problem is, if Pittsburgh, Philly, or New York gets really hot, then we're going to fall behind if we keep playing this way. I have said this before. I'm concerned, but I am not going to give my overall opinion. I need to see what happens on this road stand. On this homestand. Sorry, we are 1-1, I believe.
Yes, we are.
So we beat the Sharks. We lost to Ottawa, which is ugly. Now we play Columbus. I said from the beginning I wanted 4 wins. I would accept 3. So Carolina's still in position to get the 3. Anything else than that, and you need to be concerned because that goes to what we've been playing, which is 500 hockey or just below 500 hockey, as you pointed out. Because we have a overtime loss in our last 10, which also was against the Blue Jackets, or which was a shootout loss anyway.
Yes, it was. But I'm going to directly say Aho's comment here after the Ottawa game. I've got to be better. No question about it. But at the same time, I think we've got to find some chemistry between the line mates as well, and especially the nights that you're not feeling it. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I emphasized chemistry and line mates because we've been talking on the whole chemistry and line mates thing, Sam.
Yeah.
And this, I mean, the loss against Ottawa, again, we'll explain how that happened later, but from what I saw like on social media, it seemed like this was the game where a majority of fans were starting to question Brindamore.
Yeah. Well,
I haven't seen it after any other previous. It seems like this loss was kind of that question, especially with Aho commenting on this. And I think this is important.
No, it is.
You and I have already talked about the whole line mates thing.
I'm not going to give my overall opinion on Rod right now because I've been more critical, and I'm when I'm wearing his jersey today because I love the player, I love Rod.
I do too.
I love him, what he's done for hockey in the States, unbelievable. But I'm going to give my overall opinion on the situation at the end of the homestand because I want to see what happens here because this is critical. This is a critical homestand for the players and for the coach. And what I will say is now and I'm just going to tell you what I see, not what I believe, is I see a player who is saying, I don't think I'm playing well with who I'm being given to play with. And then you've got a coach saying his players aren't playing good enough. So you're seeing blame being thrown at each other now, which is not a good thing. When you see the players start to blame coaching and lines, or blame chemistry and line combinations, that's an indirect hit at the coach. And then if you see the coach saying some guys aren't playing the way they need to, that's the coach indirectly hitting a few players. So that's a problem. That means there's a problem right there. So I don't care. I'm not giving my opinion. I'm telling you a fact. And that's not a good thing by any stretch of the imagination. That's a bad thing to be dealing with right now. we'll see what happens. I will give my opinion on all of this at the end of the homestand, which will be, I think, our next episode.
So I know we versed the Islanders.
Tuesday.
Yeah, so it would be our next episode.
Well, so no. When's the fourth game?
So again, we're 1-1 already on this homestand. The third game is against Columbus today. The fourth game is against the Islanders on Tuesday.
So our next episode, I'll give my opinion on the whole Rod Brindamore and coaching and players and management. I've given my opinion on management before. I think they continue to fail. Once the season has started, I think they had a B off season, if not a C plus, because you lost Gensel off season, and I think they have done nothing but continue to fail as the season has gone on. I have no problem criticizing management there because the product we have is because of them. So, but I'll give the opinion on the players and the coaching staff after the Islanders game because we should win these next two.
Yes, we should win against Columbus and the Islanders because you're the better team, and I would say even more so the Islanders because you just got beaten against the Islanders at their barn, so there should be some revenge factor. And Sam, I would say, I mean, coming into this Columbus game today, again, you guys listening to this already know the result of the Columbus game, but
and I might
they need to get angry.
And I might give a little bit of an opinion after the Columbus game, depending on the result there. Because if you lose, you're going to go at the best. You're going to get 4 out of 8 at a homestand against 4 teams that were beatable, very beatable. Like you should win these games beatable. You're better than Ottawa. You're better than Columbus. You're better than the Islanders. You should win. Better than the Sharks. You beat the Sharks, but you didn't play good. The team, I don't remember the last time the team played good. It's been a little while. What, Colorado? Maybe?
Colorado, I thought we saw flashes of it, but I thought the last game that we played very, very good was the game right before the New Jersey game at New Jersey, and that was against Philadelphia. That was a 4-1 win, if you remember that game.
Yeah. So it's been a while. So I want to see what happens today against Columbus. I'll give a little bit. You might hear my opinion a little bit to a degree after the game, depending on what happens. Because if we lose, it's a must-win game. It's a must-win game, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we will talk about it. And another thing too, I don't want to delve into this too much, obviously, but Hurricanes have recalled Riley Stillman, defenseman, up. So he's only going to play if there's probably an injury on the blue line.
He's just the extra. So,
yep.
I mean, the one thing that's interesting is we have not announced because I've been checking periodically to see who our goalie is going to be tonight. And we know it's Merzlikins for Columbus, but I am slightly interested to see if it's Tokarski.
You think Tokarski should play? Because I think you should, just to see how he does.
Yeah, because this is the team
against Columbus, too.
Yeah, you're playing against Columbus. Kochetkov can't play every game. So it's like, all right, who do we go with? And in my mind, I think it should be Dustin Tokarski because I think he played very well in the minors. And Kochetkov does need a night off. You play today, and then you play Tuesday. So I think he starts one of these games.
I wouldn't play him against the Islanders.
No,
I think to me that's obvious. Yeah.
No, you play him tonight.
Well, we'll see how he does, but we will get to recapping the Ottawa and Columbus game here. But before we do, let's get to a couple of our sponsors. The 24-25 NHL season still has that new car smell, and the action is heating up at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started at DraftKings Sportsbook. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. And if you are new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
One of the things I like about watching hockey is the physical play we get to see, which is why Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes it easy to see your favorite team, concerts, or shows. One of the upcoming games I am looking forward to is a Canes versus Capitals game in January. And yes, that is my co-host Sam, if you heard him. They have a few super deals that are under $100 in lower level seating. That's why one of my favorite features is the super deal. Remember, you can also get to view from your seat in the app before you apply. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code THPN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Good thing that you put that game away. Sorry, this was something he did off screen. But Sam, the Ottawa game. This,
Do we have to talk
coming
about
in, yes,
It's so bad.
coming into this game. Obviously, we won against San Jose, which we were happy about. So against Ottawa, we knew Ottawa is a better team, leaps and bounds better than San Jose. So we're like, okay. And to be honest, I would say that how we played against Ottawa, I thought we played better in that game than the San Jose game.
Yeah.
The thing, to me, the problem was, it wasn't that they weren't good. It's just there was no drive. There was no desperation in their play.
Mm-hmm.
They were good, but not great, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, there weren't a lot of glaring mistakes. I thought Kochetkov...
Defensively, I thought they were a little bit tighter, which was good.
Yeah, and I thought Kochetkov actually played a solid game, and the only reason I don't blame him on the game is because he didn't score. Doesn't matter if he lets in 10 or 1. If you don't score a goal, you lose. So the only way we would get a point out of that game is if he didn't allow anything, and that's not fair to expect from your goaltender either. Do I like that second goal? No, but it doesn't matter because you did score.
Yeah, specifically, you didn't like that goal. It was scored by Nick Jensen. He let the 5-0 in wide open. He shouldn't have done that because that was a terrible goal to allow. But I think if you look at the bigger picture of this game, 0 goals from this team. And I liked how Corey Lavalette said, which is true, is that we are now approaching 3 games without our forward scoring. And I did make a tweet, and I know it was you that reposted it, but I mean, BK wasn't bad. I thought he was mostly pretty good, but even though I do think goaltending is our top priority, and I think it should, there is another concern, and that is the team that is in front of him.
Yeah,
just aren't playing good. And I know you said you're going to reserve your judgments on the coach and management, but on the players, what do you see?
You don't see a lot of fire, and I don't think that's controversial. I think that's right. Is just the only player I really feel like it's his skating his butt off every game is Natchez, and I think the points reflect that. but Aho's hasn't scored a goal in I think you said 7 or 8 games, and Jarvis has played well despite circumstances. And then you have Kochetkov, who I don't blame him for some of these losses, but you can't allow a bad goal a game. And he allows 1 to 2 a game on average. And that's just you're not going to win a cup. You're not going to go far in the playoffs. So you and I believe where they're at in the standings is probably where they deserve to be. That's where we kind of had them at the beginning of the season.
That's our expectation, and right now they're playing.
They're not playing at expectations.
No,
they are standings wise where we had them at expectations, because we've fallen off quite a bit in the last month. December has not been kind to the Hurricanes so far, and the play wasn't. Ottawa was a game where you weren't dangerous enough. Your stars weren't good enough. I thought the Stahl line was fine. I thought KK's line honestly was fine. They allowed a bad chance, which did end up in the net. But your top 2 lines weren't effective, which has been rare for Natchez, by the way. I'll put that out there now. Natchez has been dangerous every time he's been on the ice. But his line was kept in check, and so was the Aho line. And can't have that.
And we said this before, too. If your top players aren't scoring, you're probably not going to win the game. And I think this Ottawa game is a perfect example of that. I thought our best line was a Stahl, Martin, Jarvis line. Yeah. Even though I don't like Jarvis being on that line, I thought that was a good line. Yeah. But you're not going to win if that's like your best line. You're just not.
Yeah. No, you're not, because that line's not going to score, and that's why we hate Jarvis being on that line, because he's just not in a position to score. But when Jarvis scores, it's usually on the power play, and sorry, but I think, again, we'll talk more about chemistry and stuff after this Columbus game or after the Islanders game and coaching and all of that. But I mean, this game, we saw it. Wasn't, they weren't good enough, and your best players weren't good enough, and that's why you lose. That's why you didn't get a chance. The Ottawa Senators, the Stahl line negated the top line for Ottawa. That wasn't the problem. Their secondary scoring beat us, which means because their secondary lines were up against our top lines, and they played better. That's a problem.
Yeah. It is a problem, and you would think at home, like Brendan Moore would. I agree. I don't want to give my opinion on Brendan Moore just yet until after this homestand, but you would think at home that he would make the Stahl line a kind of a shutdown type of line, and just be like, hey, go up against the other team's top line. I'm not saying you have to score. You just have to shut them down while our top 2 lines are handling their weaker lines. So it's just one of those things where it's frustrating. And the fact that we won against San Jose, I would think would give us some confidence heading into Ottawa. But there wasn't any confidence in the Ottawa game, which honestly, I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but I mean, when I'm angry, I go silent. And I was pretty silent after that game until I was able to put my silence into words.
Yeah, it was a frustrating game, disappointing game, and I expect. I think they should demand from themselves, and I expect them to come out against Columbus and on fire. They're going to play hard and they're going to play fast, and I expect that tonight.
Yes, and I would say, I think, to me, the only good thing is that they were a little bit more stingy of letting pucks in their defensive zone, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's possible too, for sure.
Because, I mean, Ottawa, even though we lost, they only scored 2 goals and 1 goal. Yeah, that's on Kochetkov right there. That's not on the players. You can't let that second goal in from the goalie. So
yeah, it's true.
They were tighter defensively, but they just couldn't get anything going offensively. Sam, that that's pretty much it for that game because I mean, not a lot happened. There
No.
weren't a lot of goals.
No.
It was just our forwards just were trying to do. I would say, especially our top 6 forwards, were trying to do too much, and I feel like that's another theme too. Yeah, our star players trying to be fancy, which
Don't need
is
to be
causing
fancy. Just get the puck on net.
which is causing all these giveaways and turnovers. And part of what, and I mean, what they should look at is look at the stalling. Part of why they're good is that they don't make these fancy dancy plays.
Yeah.
They don't. So,
Yep. You want to go to a hockey game, Sam?
yeah. So we're going to the Columbus game, but we're going to be recapping that now. Wow, Sam, a lot better of a game against Columbus. Very weird game though, and we'll get to the calls, the reviews, all that type of stuff. But first things first, Sam, we've been talking about Aho needing to honestly not only get a goal but build some sort of streak here because this is a guy that gets around 30, 35 goals. He needs to maintain that throughout his career because he's known for that. And he eventually gets a goal. It's off of a shorthanded chance as KK kind of was just a little bit irresponsible with his stick. So it was a 4-minute power play for Columbus, but we're able to score off of our penalty kill with Jarvis making the great defensive poke check, leading to the 2-on-1. Aho roofs it. Great goal. I'm happy.
Yep.
Very, very happy.
Yeah, because you wanted a good narrative early, and it was looking agitating because we went on the penalty kill, but you somehow managed to be the only team to come away from a 4-minute power play for Columbus. They don't score, we do, and it's good for Io because he needed to get on the score sheet because it was like shorthanded goal, great. That's a life suck out of an opponent. You suck the life right out of their power play, right out of the team, and then Aho scored, but she desperately needed to get on the score sheet. So you killed 2 birds with 1 stone. You get Aho going, and you suck the life out of Columbus.
Yes, which is really good. And another thing too, Sam, we knew this before the start of the Columbus game, and it was announced that Tokarski was going to be in net against Columbus.
Yep.
And all of us are wondering, how is he going to perform? And I thought he performed very well this game.
Yep.
And honestly, like a perfect test right there is that 4-minute penalty kill to see what he's made of. And he did. I like what you said. He's a little bit like a Curtis McElhinney.
That's what I wanted. I wanted to see if he could come in and be that Curtis McElhinney kind of goalie, a little bit of a stabilizer, who's not, he's not flashy. He comes in, makes the saves, does his job, and that's all I wanted from him. And that's what he did tonight. The only goal he allowed was a defensive breakdown behind the net, and it was a heck of a shot. I mean, it's not going to stop it. It was, I think it went Glock. It was a shot above, so it wasn't a 5-hole goal like we've been seeing recently. Good play, good shot. Player like that's going to score. And other than that, Tokarski made a lot of good saves. He was very steady in the net, and I start him against the Islanders.
Yes, I would too. It's going to be tougher probably on him.
No, it's going to be tougher, but that's what you want to see. You want to see, all right, because if this guy can come in and play again very similarly to the way he played today and shut them down, make good saves and not allow bad goals, then maybe if he can keep that up, he can be that backup goaltender that you need, that replacement that you need until Anderson comes back, or if Anderson comes back. Again, I'm not saying Tokarski is the guy, but I'm saying if you don't want to spend the money to go get a guy, then you got to ride Tokarski at least a couple games.
Yeah, and I mean, I would agree. But I do think another thing too with Tokarski is, I mean, obviously you have to look at the things surrounding him as well. I mean, he's a 35-year-old goalie. I don't think any of us, and I hope management. I mean, listen, he played great, but it was just one game, and I gotta see more games from him, to be honest. One. Second, I just don't know if he's another. I mean, you never know. It could be another Spencer Martin type of goalie. So It's just time will tell, I think, with him.
And that's what you want to see, and that's why you started more than one game, right? So that's why I'm like, okay, you're at home, you're about to go on a really tough trip. Well, actually, Sam, I think because we're about to go on a tough trip. I'm just going to look at the schedule real quick so I have it in front of me.
We have one more home game, and that's
We do,
which is against
against
the
the Islanders.
Islanders. Then we have a road trip.
Washington, but then you got back-to-back New York, Nashville. So in all honesty, if you start Kochetkov against the Islanders, then I would start Tokarski against Washington, Kochetkov against the Rangers, Tokarski against Nashville. Tokarski's going to probably get at least 1 to 2 games, but you could start a rotation here, or let Tokarski go against the Islanders. But if you don't do that, go to Kochetkov, Tokarski against the Caps, Kochetkov against the Rangers, Tokarski against Nashville.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I just don't know if Brendan Moore is willing.
But Tokarski's gonna get starts because you got New York, Nashville back to back. Then you get the 3-day Christmas break, and then you get New Jersey, New Jersey. So
so you're going to have
Tokarski's starting.
Yeah, you're
playing.
kind of
He's going to play in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. He's at least playing 2. I say you get him 3 and start him against the Islanders.
Yeah, I agree. He's earned it. He played very, very good.
Mhm.
And we'll see. Honestly, we'll just see what his limit is. I think that's the big thing. We know there's a limit somewhere, but it's kind of, is it the third string? Is it some of a backup? We just don't know.
Yeah.
But he played a very good, sound game against Columbus. Very happy for him. And then, and honestly, I do want to talk about the Lions a bit, because we got to see the lines that I kind of preferred. I was happy with the lines. I thought it was common sense lines.
Yeah.
And you had Robinson with Aho, Jarvis. I thought that line was very good tonight.
Mhm.
You had Martinook, Stahl, Carrier, which I thought that line was the best line, to be honest. And we saw a goal out of that line with Carrier. Well, actually, I think 2 goals. Yeah, 2 goals with Martinook scoring. And that Martinook goal, Sam, this is when we get to the reviews. But let me finish the Lions thing real quick. But the Stahl line, I thought was the best line. I thought Stahl was the best player on the ice, to be honest. He could have had a hat trick with the chances that he had. And I thought the Blake, Roslovic, and Jost line, they had a couple of dominating shifts in the third period, which I'm sure you noticed that, Sam. It was amazing seeing what that fourth line was able to do.
Yeah, no, it was. It was the worst line tonight was a KK line, and they still scored.
Yes,
so
exactly.
That's what you want to see, and you need KK to have that confidence in getting the puck in the net. But I loved the lines. I thought the fourth line was great. I thought the Stahl line was I thought that was our best line tonight. They were just so lethal in every facet of the game. They gave up nothing, and they were the threat to score. And I think that's because the chemistry is there between those 3 guys. And I know Rod doesn't.
And you leave it like that, please.
And I was about to say, I know Rod hasn't seemed to like the idea of a total shutdown line and 3 scoring lines. He wants to go with 4 scoring lines, but dude, it worked. Just let it go. Let it ride. Like they say in Vegas, let it ride.
And even if they lose, still let it ride. Sometimes I think in order to create chemistry, I mean, I could be wrong about this, but I think sometimes in order to create chemistry, you got to lose together as well.
Yeah, I think that's the direction you're moving. Let them play. Let them figure it out. We know that Jarvis and Aho clearly have chemistry together. Let them play. Whoever the heck you want to put on the wing other than those 2, I don't care. If you really want Svetch on that line, put Svetch there. Not a big deal to me, but
well, I think there should be priorities when it comes to how you do the lines, because and I don't know if you agree with me or not, Sam, but when it comes to priorities, be like, okay, what are the non-negotiables? Okay, Marnook and Stahl, we know that's a non-negotiable, but Aho and Jarvis should be a non-negotiable. So I think like
Well, we've seen
there should be
hints.
variations instead of just total line juggling.
Well, we've seen Stahl Martinook get split up more often than not because Martinook plays on the first line when Rod doesn't like how things are going. But I think what you need to do is you need to sit down and make the decision that Jarvis and Aho have to play together. Period. And anything else, we'll figure it out. But I would say,
Yes.
but behind that, I would say that that Stahl line needs to stay together. Period. And
Yes.
then your other two lines and the other winger on the Aho line, you can figure that out. What works and doesn't work. But we know Jarvis and Aho work, and we know Stahl, Martinook, and Carrier work.
Exactly. And that should be the non-negotiables. The other lines, like you said, that allows for some creativity. I don't know. I mean, if you want Svetch to play with Aho, I might not like it, but at least you're having Aho and Jarvis together. So again, I say variations are, I think, better than a total jumbling of the lines. And Sam, let's go ahead and just get to it.
Here's
The
a little
reviews.
fun thing that happened too, Sam. Okay.
Oh,
At
oh
the
boy.
and the press conference, Rod Brindamore, you know Rod Brindamore's presser after the game.
Yep.
The great governor of North Carolina, Roy Cooper, joined the press conference with Rod Brindamore.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he came in and Rod introduced him. So let's see. Oh, so here we go. I'm gonna break this now. All right. So special moment. Rod Brindamore post game as Governor Roy Cooper announces that the hashtag Canes head coach has been presented membership to the Order of the Longleaf Pine, North Carolina's highest civilian honor for exceptional service to the state and its people.
Awesome. Good for Rod Brindamore. Really good for him. And for those who don't know, Roy Cooper, the governor,
Yes.
announced, I believe, the starting lineup in the Hurricanes dressing room. So, I mean, good for him for doing that. Again, this is not a political show at all, but anything Canes related, we like to applaud. So,
And Rod gets
good
an
for
honor, and that's awesome.
Cooper. Yep, it is awesome. But Sam, let's go ahead and get to the reviews here, because I mean, honestly, I thought Columbus played. Honestly, I thought in the second period Columbus was at their best.
Yeah.
They got their goal, and even though Martinook scored, there was a review from Dean Evanson, their coach, on goalie interference. Funny enough, I thought that was going to be goalie interference.
Yeah, so did I.
But it wasn't.
Yeah, we finally won one. I tweeted out for the first time in Hurricanes history, we won a goalie interference challenge. That's not true, but obviously I'm being a little sarcastic with that.
I was floored when they announced that goal stood. But the only thing I thought it was, and they later revealed that it was what I thought what it was, is that the goalie had time to make a save.
Yeah, so he had time to set, and that's fair enough, and I'm fine with that. But it was the other one, the other goal that came up.
The Roslovic goal.
And I guess it was called no goal for a hand pass. And I guess the rule is the player has to have possession. I did not know that. And I guess what do you constitute as possession, which is also a very ambiguous call. But you know what? It was probably also a thing of, they let something stand that probably was iffy to some people. They probably had to let this one go. I get it. I understand it. I'm not going to complain about the call. We still won the game, if that's but it's one of those things where I have to try and look at if I'm on the other end of the ice, how do I feel? So it surprised me, but I guess if that's the rule, that's the rule. I didn't know it until today that it has to be possession. I thought it just had to be playing the puck or touching the puck with your stick. That player had to be the next one to touch it. I didn't know it was possess it. So I did not know that. So if that's the rule, then that's the rule.
That creates ambiguity, though.
Yeah.
Does it not? So I really was not happy with that call, just to be honest here. I just wasn't. And I still don't think that should have been a hand pass because it directly touched. It was Jost that knocked the puck down, and it clearly hit his stick. Like, I didn't see
Yeah.
any directional intent there. Again, it creates ambiguity. So
It's one of those whatever. You know what? I'm going to take going 50-50 on coach's challenge. You know, we
I
win
am
one, we
too.
lose
I
one.
am.
I'll take it. It's
Yeah.
fine. I'm
Yeah,
just going
I
to let
am
it go.
too. It's just weird. Very, very, very weird. But Sam, I believe that is it. Good for KK for getting the 4-1 goal. Great snipe. Nexus was able to get a point. So what's nice is even though the stall line was probably the best line, you still got points from your top players tonight.
Yeah,
And
which is
that's
what you wanted.
important. Yep, exactly. So Sam, great win against Columbus. The Islanders game is going to prove whether this is an okay homestand or a great homestand, I would say.
Correct.
So that's going to be very vital.
It
But
is.
we will see you guys Friday.